2027, unified opposition parties target Tinubu's second term bid. Let me read part of this news. Ahead of the 2027 presidential elections, opposition parties and groups are joining forces to form a strong coalition aimed at defeating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. The unified coalition, dubbed the Mother of Opposition Alliance, seeks to challenge the APC's hold on power. Honorable Ikenga Imo Ugochinyere, representing Idato Federal Constituency in Imo State, announced plans to form the coalition, which he said would proceed with or without the involvement of the People's Democratic Party. Now, I don't want to go into details. It's a long news. I'm not ready to read that. Now, let's merge it with the recent. One of my managers actually posted a video on a video showing Peter Obi visiting Atiku, and they had whether not dinner, whether not lunch, I don't know, whether not break, but I don't know whether dinner together or so. It's about 30 seconds or 1 minute video. So Peter Obi visited Atiku and they had meal together. What is your thought now together with this, just merge it with this same news of 2027 opposition joining forces to defeat Bola Tinubu of APC? We've talked about this severally on this platform anyway. What is your thought on this?
On this platform, and I was aware and I read the reports of Peter Obi visiting Atiku. Not only him, I think Kwankwaso visited Atiku, and there was speculation that time that they want to bring Peter Obi to run again with Atiku Abubakar as his vice presidential candidate. I believe that is a non-starter in the first place. The issue of unified opposition has defied success in Nigeria since politics has started. The only time that it came near success or succeeded was 2015 when Buhari contested, and it was a one-off instance. Whenever somebody holds power, like Tinubu is holding power now, you will hear of opposition trying to come together to overthrow. When it was PDP, we also used to hear repeatedly that the opposition will come together. But in Nigerian politics, that is the least problem. Because when the opposition agreed to come together, they have not taken any firm step to firm up that opposition to make it a challenge. What will happen that will threaten a ruling party is when they see an opposition figure and the rest of the opposition parties rally around that person. That is when the ruling party will be threatened. In 2015, Buhari was the only person, everybody was rallying around him. That's why PDP was threatened. Other than that, in every other opposition, when they come together, they separate because of agreement on who will run. So if they are wise and if they reflect back on what made this thing to fail in the past, the best thing is to agree on the person that will be at the top of the ticket now. Then rally around the opposition around him. If you don't do that, you now bring the parties together. When it comes to choosing the person that will lead that ticket, you see that this thing will scatter. The whole arrangement will scatter. People will go their ways to go and contest on other parties. In Buhari's time, he was agreed upon well before they even came together that he would be at the top of the ticket. When they came together, there was no challenge. So everybody in the opposition rallied around him and he came to power. So this
there
is,
was actually there was challenge, but the challenge was surmounted.
the challenge was weak. There were,
Yes.
when you talk of one or two people that don't have
Yeah.
significant challenges, you don't count those ones because they will not impact the polity. So he was the candidate. Everybody looked up to him. People gravitated towards the APC. There was no dispute on him becoming the presidential candidate. But when you now talk of unifying the opposition now, who are they going to rally behind? That, for me, is the most important question that must be decided first before you can rally around this thing. If that is not decided, forget about it. We are
Honestly,
not going anywhere.
yeah, they see the thing. This decision, me, you see, let me tell you one thing. I think we've talked about this earlier on this show. Atiku will. The truth is, Atiku is too proud to. You know, Atiku wants to recontest, and if he's recontesting, he cannot be Obi's vice. Never. And because of that, Obi again. Look, what I expected, I've said it before. What I expected Atiku to be is just to play the role of a godfather, an elder statesman, support Peter Obi, and someone again to second, because Peter Obi was during the 2023 election, he was the most popular among all the candidates, including Bola Tinubu. And I believe Peter Obi won that election. If not INEC that actually circumvented the system. Um, that is just the reality. So you don't expect someone, the most popular among all the candidates, to play a second fiddle to one of the candidates who in the first place couldn't organize himself and his party the right way. He didn't show leadership. Atiku didn't demonstrate sense of leadership at all. At all, he messed up. He messed up the entire. He said the entire PDP structure. Sort of. So I don't understand. Honestly, I don't even understand why Peter Obi is visiting him to start all this, because this whole journey will not go anywhere. The two people that are involved, you just mentioned the Kwankwaso and the article Kwankwaso, they are egocentric in nature. They are proud. Kwankwaso's pride is even it's added with arrogance. A sort of arrogance is added to his pride as well. So I don't understand how these three people can actually work together. Because one is a humble person. That is, Peter Obi is an extremely humble man. His humility, in fact, he reeks of humility. That is one of the things I actually love about him. I love so many things about Peter Obi. He just provoked me because he failed to do the right thing after the 2023 election. That is just it. A sort of. Come back to my point. The article will not. Okay, anything can happen. He may choose not to run and give it to Peter Obi. But what about Kwankwaso? Kwankwaso that have boasted for over how many months or 2 years now, about 2 years or 3 prior to the election, of how much PhD he has, how much political pedigree he has, how much political bigwig he is compared to Peter Obi, how less Peter Obi is to him, or whatever. So I don't see a scenario where Kwankwaso will play a second fiddle to Peter Obi. I don't see. The whole thing is not. It's just right now. The whole thing is. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel in this whole merger of a thing. That is one. Secondly, you know, for those of you who are following me, including Barrister Manta, that we are here together. You know my opinion about 2027. Peter Obi is not going. Peter Obi lost that chance. Even if all the candidates back Peter Obi, I am telling you, for God's sake, Mekuna, people should. It's a common sense thing. Bola Tinubu was able to bulldoze his way into presidency. Outside power when he had no power around him. All he had was money to throw around. Yet he was able to actually control the key institution in charge of election. What do you expect now that he has become that he is the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, of the police, armed forces, of course, all the forces that are armed, which includes the military, the police, civil defense, all the armed forces. So what are we talking about here? You don't see Tinubu rolling out tanks, military tanks, during 2027 election, and to deter. I think he even did that in Lagos in 2023 to scare people away. So, sorry?
He does not need to roll out tanks to win in 2027. Atiku lost the plot in 2023 when he threw himself into the ring.
Yes.
The mood of the country was that the North had the presidency for 8 years, and it was the time for the presidency to go to the South. And the justice of the case demanded that as the Southwest had already had 8 years, this time, and the South had also ruled, this time the presidency should go to the Southeast. He should have stood firm and throw his weight to the Southeast. But because of the baggage that Tinubu brought, it was felt that he will cash in on that and contest and get northern votes and one or two other votes there and right. So it was an opportunistic decision for him to contest instead of doing the right thing, backing Peter Obi in 2023 to contest and using virtually all his resources. That would have been in the mode of a statesman. That would have been in the mode of a nationalist if he had done that. He didn't. And today Tinubu is there, getting more powerful politically. Now, in the approach to 2027, all the evidence points that Atiku is still gearing up to come up again. Now, the issue is very simple. The North has ruled for 8 years. By the unwritten rule of Nigeria, the South will also rule for 8 years. So, even on that plain level, if Atiku should come up in 2027, he will still lose. Now, the second level is the Tinubu factor. He is becoming more and more powerful politically. He is getting all the political power, left, right, and center, positioning towards 2027. And now you enter 2027 again with Atiku contesting in the North, Peter Obi contesting, taking votes from the Southwest, Southeast, South, and Middle Belt states. It's a good ride for Tinubu. It will be a good, he doesn't even need to roll out tanks. He does not need to do anything extra, commit extra effort to win in 2027. That is my opinion.
No, he needs to bring out. Look, people are hungry. He has lost even people who supported him in sincerity in 2023. They are against him now. So if Tinubu does not roll out tanks, Tinubu can never win, no matter what, because he's doing his governance is plunging Nigeria further into chaos, economically and otherwise. So don't even go there. Honestly, 2027.
Get me right. I'm not saying he will win fairly. I'm not implying that he will win fairly. It will be easier for him in 2027 to manipulate the process.
To rig the system.
That is what I'm driving. I'm not saying that it is Nigerians that will troop out and vote for him. No, it will be far easier for him to manipulate the process with, if, for instance, Atiku contesting, let's say on PDP, Peter will be contesting on Labour Party, other people contesting. It will be easy for him to manipulate the process and retain the power.
But it won't get to that. I'm telling you, the Nigerians will form. They will all these ones, the Atiku and they will find a way to support one person. But no matter what, my own is 2027. My own is if Bola Tinubu could do this when he had no power, only had the money to throw around, he succeeded. How much more can he do it? Excuse me. Now that he's the commander-in-chief, he controls everything, controls the country's resources, everything. So all those ones, people should just. And besides, Peter Obi, he provoked me because he won the mandate of the people. He actually won that, but he didn't take it seriously. He wasn't ready to deprive himself of temporary persecution or chastisement or suffering or whatever, because obviously if he tried to resist by calling mass protest, that is what I expected. Not depending on the court, for God's sake. What I expected from Peter Obi, for those of you who have not been following me all this while, probably this is your first time. What I expected Peter Obi to have done was to call out for mass protests that he will lead. Yes, worst case scenario, they will arrest him, they will incarcerate him, and possibly it's possible they could kill him in incarceration. And so what? Is it better than people that have died in the past fighting for freedom for either Nigeria or outside Nigeria? That is it. Look, freedom does not come on a platter of gold. It is not bread and butter. Freedom comes by force. By force. Barrister, you are someone that is well read, especially read histories of so many countries. Please, is there any freedom, any country that actually gained freedom on a platter of peace?
Not one that I can readily think of.
Yeah.
The people took over power, even in colonialism. During colonialism, we know all the Kenyans of the world, the Namibias, the Angolas. The one that came nearly peacefully was Nigeria, but there was an intense struggle. It was not just that people didn't bother about it.
Yeah, of course.
There was an intense struggle pre-independence that resulted in Nigeria's independence. And the worst one is when it is internal colonialism, when you have the power and then you colonize your other districts. People must fight up. It happened in Liberia. Remember the American free slaves have dominated the politics of Liberia for centuries. The coming of Sergeant Doe, who was a native Liberian, to overthrow that American free slaves was like a revolution in Liberia. And it's what led to all the problem and the ensuing civil war in Liberia that destabilized the whole country. So there are examples abound. You do not sit and they will come and say, okay, it's your turn, come and take power. No, it does not happen that way.
Yeah, no, that
there
is the point.
There must be agitation and intense fighting, and violently, but there must be intense.
So back to my point. Yeah. So that is my point. So that is exactly. But unfortunately, Peter Obi is not that type who is ready to actually make sacrifice for the people. That is the problem. Somebody has to sacrifice something. We are not saying that he obviously would have died. That's not true. I'm only saying it could be a possibility that, okay, during incarceration something will happen, whatever, just like they did to Abiola. And someone, I remember that time, someone was asking me on the question that the Abiola that died, where is he today? And I said, the Abiola that died, how did you remember it? Because I tried to find out how old the person is. How did you remember it? Probably the time you were not born then, or probably you were born, you're still a baby, a child, when Abiola won the election, probably when they killed him. Are you not hearing of Abiola today? How did Nigeria
The
sign,
Southwest and
how,
Obasanjo benefited. It was because of Abiola that they brought
that
the
is the
Southwest
point.
to the
That is the point.
president.
How did we come about this June 12th? For God's sake, we came about June 12th as a result of Abiola. So every year, Nigeria celebrates June 12th and remembers Abiola. That is a legacy. So that means Abiola did not die in vain. Abiola died sacrificing for something. And the sacrifice he made, someone benefited from it. The Southwest benefited from it through Obasanjo. Just like you mentioned. Obasanjo became president as a result of that. And so I don't honestly, that is what I expected. I expected Peter Obi to be the front for freedom fighting. Honestly, during that election. And unfortunately, he failed. And that was since then.
You have to understand that when you take the decision to lead such a fight, you also take a decision that you could die in the process.
That is, I know, of course, I know.
If you are not ready to take those two decisions, all of them are mutually inclusive. When you take a decision to lead a mass protest or lead any sort of protest for power,
yes,
you also know that in the process you could lose your life. So you look at it from that way, and then you commit yourself. Apparently, he was not ready for the other angle, for the angle of committing his life, that in any event, if he dies, he dies. Apparently, he was not ready for that.
Yeah, of course, he was not. He still he doesn't want to lose comfort, a comfortable life. He doesn't want to suffer. He doesn't want to be deprived of freedom. A sort of, and again, that brings me to this distrust of him. If people came out, in fact, I don't understand. If I were in his shoes, honestly, if I were in his shoes, the kind of support that he garnered would have encouraged me so immensely, in a way that even if I do not have that courage to actually stick my neck for the people, that would have encouraged me to do that. I would have garnered that courage to do that. Look, this man did something historic in Nigeria. No politician in the history of Nigeria ever garnered the kind of support Peter Obi got. Have you ever heard or seen a politician actually garnering support, organic support without financial inducement? Not even Abiola, as popular as Abiola was then, Abiola's candidacy, even in the north or whatever, he went about spreading money, sharing money. Abiola still spent money. Obi know they give people shishi. He didn't give people shishi. And that is just the truth. People organically, naturally followed him en masse. And what did you do? You just wasted that opportunity. Wasted it completely. I expected when this criminal that calls himself our president, Bola Tinubu, rigged himself into power, I expected him to actually be the face of the revolution that we've always anticipated that will take place in Nigeria. Unfortunately, he chickened out. He's a weakling. I consider that man a weakling. I love him for what he has done. I love his humility. I love everything about him. And I felt I see that's why I think I've tagged him as the president that Nigeria, the best president Nigeria never had. And unfortunately, he will never. The closest he got to presidency was 2023. He will never get that close again. If he gets that close, I will be excited. But I am only being rational here because the kind of opportunity I believe in there are opportunities that comes just only once in lifetime. That kind of opportunity that came for Peter Obi and came to us through Peter Obi, it no go happen again. I'm not a prophet of doom, but I'm just being realistic here. I'm just being realistic. Peter Obi missed it. He missed it, honestly. So nothing. 2027, nothing go happen. Bola Tinubu go still, if God keep him alive, he go still, unfortunately, he will
I
still be
wholeheartedly
president.
agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. What Peter Obi brought, it was like a whirlwind. A
Honestly.
lot of political actors and gladiators did not anticipate
Yes.
what happened. It took everybody by surprise.
By surprise.
Kind of outpouring of love and support
Honestly.
that he brought was something that threatened a lot of people, threatened the whole fabric of the Nigerian politics. And that opportunity was lost. I do not see it coming in a couple of decades because you don't wake up, you do not wake up one day and have that kind of support. You build it up. He built himself during his 8 years of governorship.
Yes.
It was because of his record that he could. We are seeing people now serving, we are seeing governors. We cannot point to anyone that is building that type of record that we can say along the line, he too will be celebrated and followed like Obi. So we are not likely going to see any candidate do what Peter Obi did in 2023 in the near future.
Honestly,
it was an opportunity that was lost and wasted, and it may not come. I will not say it will not. It may not come again. Maybe never.